You're now tuning into
The Cover Gang.
What is going on, Cover Gang? It is NFL Week 9. We are to the halfway point. And not only are me and Justin coming off yet another winning week, we have not had a losing week picking every game against the spread this year. Probably just jinxed us right there, but it is what it is. We're going to dive in on this episode. We're going to dive into all of the 1 o'clock games. It's a pretty good Sunday for footballs. A lot of marquee matchups out there like Miami, Kansas City, Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, and Bengals. So it should be a lot of good football to watch, but we're going to read off every spread like we always do. Justin's going to say who he's taking, how much he's going to put on it. I'm going to do the same thing, see if we agree.
Yeah, and just to recap after that Monday night finish, we ended the week 7-6-3, so we barely escaped on that last little bit. I mean, we were still up units, but it was just not a great week with 3 pushes. But yeah, you ended up getting the better of the week because of the unit placement. I had, I think, a unit and a half on that game, and you had a half unit.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
And I think it's just one game I doubled down on, and you put a unit and a half. Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to talk you into Cardinals, and like it was honestly we got saved. So
yeah, it came down to the wire for that. But so right now, I think you have won 5, and I have won 2, and then we tied 1 week. So trying to bounce back and see if I can win this in week 9. We already took the Steelers. If you didn't watch the recap, we took the Steelers for the Thursday night pick. We're both sitting on that -2.5 spread. So I did recommend taking the Bucks +3, and also I took the Chiefs -2.5, and that is the first game that we're going to discuss. So let's get right into these games on the 1 o'clock slate. First up, we got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs in Germany, a neutral site game. The line movement early was Chiefs -1.5 to -2.5. It seemed like the Sharps liked the Chiefs earlier in the week. Regular unit play for me on Monday on the recap. I said go ahead and take the Chiefs because I thought it would go to 3. It has not. It has actually moved against me, so it's down to 1.5. What do you make of that?
So right, so it's the opposite of what you just. The Sharps are coming in on Miami, and the public's on Kansas City. Sharps are coming in on Miami. That's why it's dropped a point. I'm gonna roll with the pros here. I'm gonna take Miami +1.5. I understand Miami has this outlook on or perspective of their team that they beat up on these bad teams, and they can't, when they play a Buffalo or the Eagles, they get pushed around. This speed doesn't really beat physicality, but I don't think they're really running into that type of buzzsaw in Germany against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still missing Nick Bolton, the linebacker. This Chiefs defense, it started out the year, I think they were ranked in like the top 5. They've slowly exited that. They kind of look more like the Chiefs defense we've known for the past few years. And Mahomes they said he had the flu last week, and then he's having to fly over to Germany. I expect him to have a good game against this this defense for the Dolphins. But if you get into a track meet, maybe I'm a little biased here, but I'd love to see Tyreek get a little bit of revenge on Kansas City, and I do think I'm taking the sharp side, like I said earlier, with the public coming in on the Chiefs and the line moving towards the Dolphins. So, give me a regular unit play, Dolphins +1.5. It goes against the Mahomes trend of that he's so well whenever he's an underdog, which is rare. But if he's a 3-point or less favorite, he almost always covers. I think he's like 19-6 against the spread. But I'm fading it, and I hope the Kansas City drop passes continue, and maybe Mahomes is not too healthy, and it's jet lag going all the way to Germany.
Yeah, some people are saying that the Dolphins are already there and the Chiefs are leaving tomorrow on Thursday. And I've seen some people argue that the team that gets there first has the advantage, and then I've seen some say the opposite. But I think what we've seen in that Ravens-Titans game, the Ravens, they got to London first, and that worked out well for them. But
same with Jags, Bills. Jags were already over there, which
right.
Obviously they were already over there, but
on their second week. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I have to. I took it on the look ahead. I recommended it. I'm gonna take the Chiefs -2.5. It's still under a field goal. I still like it. Mahomes off of the bounce back after getting embarrassed by Denver. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting game. Like I said, me and you discussed we like these 9 o'clock games because you can get up and just focus on that first game of the slate and just everybody, nothing else is on. It's so early in the day, 9:30 Eastern. You're just like, all right, football with coffee, like as soon as I get up. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
and this
nice.
this is probably the best. I mean, Bills and Jags was really good too, but this is Dolphins, Kansas City. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that could be like a Sunday night game, and we get it first thing in the morning on Sunday. So that's exciting.
And like you said, Tyreek, he circled it on his calendar, didn't he? He's
He
ready for
did.
this one.
He is ready. Yeah.
Yeah. So we disagree on this one. I'll take Chiefs -2.5. Tyler has the Dolphins +1.5. Next up, we got the Rams at the Packers. Sharp money has been hammering the Packers all week. Look, I don't like this game at all. The Rams looked horrible last week. It's likely they're going to start a backup QB. We're not really sure who it is, I don't think, at this moment. I don't know if you have the scoop on who's starting, but if you followed the line movement with the Packers last week, you got shredded just like we did. Here we are again. The Sharps taking the Packers, but I just can't do it. This is a half unit game for me because I'm backing either Jordan Love or a backup quarterback. I have no idea who it is. I just think the Rams pieces are good enough to cover the 3.5. There's a 3.5 out there, so I feel safer with that one than -3 Packers. I can't do it.
Yeah. I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna take the Packers.
Following
And
the sharp line movement. Let's see. Well, you've got two where you're trying to
Re-
follow it.
well, it's just as of right now. Honestly, it's a wait game, but I can't. I called one last week. I'm like, you really need to wait on this game, and it's the same thing. It's like if Matt Stafford's not playing, even though Jordan Love is horrible in the first half. Like roster wise, they have like I said last week, they have a decent defense. They have decent weapons. Jordan Love is more experienced than the Rams backup. I don't know what his name is. The kid from Georgia, Stetson Bennett. He's not on the team anymore. So they played. I had already turned the game off when that guy came in against the Cowboys last week. So I can't remember his name. But if he's playing, then yeah, I understand why the Sharps are on the -3. But if Stafford's cleared to play, I would play Rams. So it's tough for me. So the line is set that Stafford's not playing. So
Yeah,
it
I'm
seems like
pretty
Vegas
sure they're
knows.
not. I'm pretty sure he's not. I think.
Yeah, but if it's a half, like I said, it's a half unit play for me because we're recording on Wednesday, and I don't know enough about the game, so I'm gonna take Packers -3, put it on the spreadsheet. But honestly, I'll probably buy my way out if Stafford gets cleared. It's that important because he is the team.
Yeah, for sure. So two for two, we disagree in week 9 already. It's going to be an interesting one. Next up, we got the Commanders at the Patriots. So the Commanders just shipped off their elite edge rushers in Montez Sweat and Chase Young, and the line movement has pushed the Patriots from -2 all the way to 3.5. Both these teams are horrible. And I mean, at first, it feels like if you're following the line movement, it feels sharp to take the Patriots. But now I can see the public coming in on the Patriots at that 3.5 number because the Washington just shipped off their best edge rushing talent, some of the better edge rushers in the league, for probably next to nothing. And they look like they're tanking. So I don't know, man. This is another half unit game for me. It's disgusting. I'm going to take Commanders +3.5.
Yeah, there's two very public sports books out there that you can still get Patriots -3. I just looked. No, it's a double unit play for me. This is a Belichick type game. I was gonna double unit this before I heard about Chase Young and Sweat, and I agree. But I will take the -3 because I do think before Sunday, I will go ahead and take it right now as soon as we post this, because I could see it. Like Justin said, he's already got it at 3.5. I could see it hitting even that 4 number as Sharps come in and grab this number with them shipping off the 2 key members of that defensive line and that front 7. So, yeah, double unit play, Patriots -3 at home in a Belichick controlling Sam Howell type game.
Next up, we got the Bucks at the Texans. So this was another game that we both loved on the look ahead. We grabbed it at +3. For most of the week, it was down at 2.5 and 2, but there's a couple lonely threes out there again, so some money probably coming in on the Texans on some of those public books. But I like this one. I'm gonna double down at the 3. I'm hitting it again. We said regular unit probably on the look ahead, so I'm gonna hit it again. I still think it's the side. These two teams are pretty even strength. I feel like you're getting the Bucks off 10 days of rest and a good defense. Baker and CJ Stroud, look, Baker's a veteran. He's not special, but pretty even at that. And I think the Bucks defense is better, and you're getting value with the +3. So no brainer, double unit for me.
Yeah, same here. I am double unit the Bucks for all the reasons you just said. Also, CJ Stroud to start off the year, I think through the first 4 or 5 weeks, he had a passer rating of like right between like 105 and 110, and it's gone down to 80 in the past 3 weeks. So more tape out on a rookie quarterback, like I've been saying about a lot of these quarterbacks that aren't even rookies. They're going to have their growing pains. So, um, I, and the public is still coming in on this Texans team at home. But yeah, I think these two teams are finally valued about where they should be. The line is set right. I'm just taking the veteran team on the road +3 in a division that's still up for grabs. It kind of seems like Jacksonville's running away with the South there
South.
in the AFC. Yeah, and the NFC South, Saints and Falcons are tied at 4-4 at the top. So
Yeah.
Bucks just a half game back. So yeah, I like Baker to bounce back off 10 days rest, like you said. It's a double unit play for me as well.
All right. Next up, we got the Cardinals at the Browns. This may have been, probably should have been one that we mentioned on our look ahead, because I looked at it and I'm thinking early in the week, Browns laying 7, probably going to go higher than that, 7.5. It's all the way at 8.5 right now at the time of recording, but there is a book with 7.5 out there, but it's by itself, I think. So last week, I feel like we looked up with the Cards, and they just shipped off Josh Dobbs to the Vikings. It's likely that we get Clayton Tune to get the start for the Cardinals here, and there's potential that Kyler Murray could start, but I don't think it's likely. But I'm not even sure that it matters, because he would be super rusty at this point. And the Browns, they've been exceptional at home. They're 3-1 against the spread. Cardinals just 1-3 against the spread on the road. So I have to take the Browns, cover the big number. Don't like it, but I'll take a regular unit on the -7.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Regular unit -7.5 Browns. It's just I don't think they'll start Kyler, because Kyler's first game back, you're going to put him on the road in Cleveland
In the
against
dog
that
pound.
defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently the offensive line for the Cardinals are, I think they're missing. They're missing like 3 out of 5 starters, and then out of those 3 out of 5, it's like the third string. Wait, or 2 out of those 3 is the third string. So the offensive line is in shambles. Myles Garrett's just like, I'm playing against this quarterback and this offensive line this week. I think it could get ugly quick. And there's what's his name? James Conner. He's still not back, right? He's still on IR.
He's still on IR. Honestly, if he was back, I might would take the Cardinals, because I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be enough to cover.
But Cleveland coming off a tough fought game in Seattle, barely losing there at the end. Deshaun, I think we're expecting him to play this week, but even if it's PJ Washington, they have to ground and pound against this Cardinals team. Or he's even been playing decent as far as throwing the ball too. It's just a bad spot for the Cardinals. And at 7.5, I still don't think this Browns team is getting the love of like the Ravens, or even the Bengals are looking really good in that division now. So, yeah, regular unit place -7.5.
Next up, we got the Bears at the Saints. The Bears got blown out in Monday Night Football. Saints coming off a win. The line moved from 6.5 to 7.5, even 8.5, I think, now in the Saints' direction. I like the Bears here in this one. I think there's value in the number, especially at the 8.5. I mean, Fields could potentially be back in this one. They've got the run game going a little bit. The total is sitting at 41, so Vegas expects this to be a low-scoring game. I just think that 8.5 is way too big for the Saints team. I don't think they should be laying 8.5 against anyone. I get it, it's the Bears, but I mean, if this were I would group the Bears in with, the Giants, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Patriots, something like that. But you wouldn't see any of those teams getting 8.5. So I just think it's too many points. So I'm going to put a unit and a half on the Bears at plus 8.5.
Yeah, it's a regular unit play for me. I'm taking the Bears as well. The Saints did find a little bit more of an offensive rhythm last week, and as I brought up last week, I could see it being a snowball effect if Derek Carr gains chemistry with Mike Thomas, Olave, Kamara, the whole crew. But I watched that game and they did cover. They put up, I think, 38 points against the Colts, but still through the majority of that game, it didn't seem like they were clicking on all cylinders. So until they prove me wrong, I can't just give up 8.5 points to start a game. It doesn't look like Justin Fields is going to play. It's going to be the Tyson kid again, which is we lost on taking Bears plus 8.5 last week against the Chargers, but Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore and that offensive structure compared to Derek Carr a little bit different. So regular unit play, but public is definitely coming in on the Saints after them scoring 38 points against the Colts last week.
For sure. Next up, Seahawks at the Ravens, the Battle of the Birds. This is a good marquee matchup of the week. The line was pretty steady at 5.5, but now I'm seeing a 6 out there on a couple books. This one is a tough one for me. You said it before we recorded. You said that the Seahawks plus 6 feels chalk. What's your take on this one? It's hard to make a decision, but right now, lean Seahawks. What do you think?
Yeah, they're public dogs going into Baltimore. Baltimore won handily last week, like Arizona barely. Took a miracle for them to cover for us. Baltimore's looking like one of the best teams in the NFL, but it's just historically Lamar's not that good when he's a favorite of 3 or more points. And Seattle, I think they match up decent with this team. Baltimore's defense, seems like Baltimore really hasn't played anybody except for the Lions, and that game was just over so quick. I could see this actually being a game, so I am going to roll with the points plus 6, and hope Seattle just stays in it. I know it's hard to play in Baltimore, but it really comes down to Geno Smith. Like, do we get a Geno Smith like he's been playing the majority of his time with the Seahawks, or does he go back to, like, I think there was a little bit of time during that Browns game last week. He just looked like the Geno Smith playing with the Jets. He scares me sometimes. But I do think they have enough talent on the offense and defensive side of the ball to stay in the game with Baltimore. So I am going to ride with the 6 points and hope this is not a Rams-Cowboys scenario of last week.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It gives me like some of those feelings where it's like, this is going to be one of those ones we look back and say, duh.
The
like
Seahawks aren't we thought Seattle was good coming into the season. We didn't think the Rams would be. It's not like Ravens are coming off a bye. That one had more.
I'm not comparing to that, but there's always one or two every week where it's like we see a favorite and we're kind of just, we lean to underdog a lot, and I'm just like, I hope this isn't one that we regret, afterwards. But I can't. I have to take the Seahawks plus 6, but I'm hoping it lands in our favor. I could see this one being one where like, should have took the Ravens, but hopefully not. Next up, we got the Vikings at the Falcons. Heavy line movement in this one because of Kirk Cousins, and he is out for the season. This is the largest number that the Falcons have laid all year. I think there's a 5 out there. It started at like 2.5 or 3, and it's made its way to 4.5 on most books, but yeah, it's a 5 out there. So I don't know. I can't stomach laying 5 with the Falcons, so I will take the Vikings at plus 5. It's not a great game to bet, in my opinion. I think the number, I was going to half unit this at a lower number, but I think since it's this high, like, I'll just do a regular unit play. I think the Vikings' key surrounding pieces are good enough to stay in this game and within a field goal, so I don't know. I don't like buying the Falcons and following the line movement here. What do you think?
Yeah, this one was tough for me too because Kirk Cousins, it's kind of like the Rams. Like, Kirk Cousins really makes this engine run. And he was having maybe his best year ever. Even though they started off 0-3, they got back. They've won 3 out of their last 4 games. He's been he's been like top 2 or 3 in passing yards and passing attempts and completions and everything because they can't run the ball. So losing him does hurt a whole lot here. But yeah, Falcons just haven't shown anything to where they should be 5-point favorites. I do hope that we get Dobbs coming in, even though he doesn't have they signed him on Tuesday, so Tuesday to Sunday, like he's not going to know the whole playbook, but they have enough weapons, I think, to stay in this game. And I don't think that locker room's like, oh, Kirk's out, like we're done for the season. They still won last week against the Packers. Like they're still trying to make a playoff push. That's why they went out and got the Cardinals quarterback. So, they're not giving up by any means. I do think that Atlanta should win the game outright, but +5 is just too much. So it's just it's a regular unit play for me as well.
Yeah. And that's it for the 1 o'clock slate. Make sure you tune into the 4 o'clock games and after, where we cover all the rest of the games in week 9. If you enjoyed the content, please drop a like on the video. It helps us out a lot. Don't forget to tune into the primetime video and the recap, where we go over how we did on the week. Like Tyler said at the beginning of the video, we haven't had a losing week unit wise, so make sure you're tuning in and following some of these picks. But thanks for tuning in. As always, let's cover the spread. Peace.